So recently, a bunch of unaired pilots found their way online, dating back to the 90s. What I want to do is, look at these pilots and determine two things. 1. Did it have potential? And 2. How different would popular culture be if this pilot was picked up for series? Now this one was one of 2 unaired pilots starring Alicia Silverstone, but I chose this one because Danny DeVito stars in it and he directed it. What's interesting about this is the fact that this pilot is from 2005. Not long after it was filmed, FX would tell the Always Sunny gang that they had to add an additional famous face to the crew if that show was going to continue. So if this pilot had been successful, then we may have never gotten Danny on Always Sunny. His schedule could have been very easily too busy to star on that show. So thank God this show was dreadful, and believe me, it is dreadful. Oh, and Deb, the sister from Dexter, she's also in this. And if this show was a hit, then she would never have been free to sign up for that show, and she never would have married the star. That's what I love about these TV pilots, seeing how different pop culture would be if they were successful. I'm hoping to make this a series, so let me know if there are any particular unaired pilots you want me to talk about. For now, let's talk about Queen Bee. This series stars Alicia Silverstone as a woman who slowly realises that she doesn't have the same effect on people as she did in high school. We're introduced to Alicia as she gets out of her car and checks how she looks in the reflection of the car's window. It's strange how it didn't open with a joke. Even if you did that joke where the woman was checking a reflection in a blacked out window and someone else was inside the car. It's not a great joke, sure, but at least it had started with a joke. But instead, the start just establishes that she cares about how she looks and that's about it. Very strange that they didn't open with a joke. This is meant to be a comedy. She then goes to her office, where she is greeted by Deb from Dexter. Alicia Silverstone is annoyed that there's nobody around, so starts shouting for someone named Bob. It is here where we get the first joke of the sitcom. The way that Jennifer Carpenter shouts Bob. Bob! Bob! Yeah, that was meant to be a joke. First impressions are everything, so it's really weird how they thought that was a good enough first joke. What's even stranger is how they got Danny DeVito to sign on to this show by sharing the script with him. So he read those first 2 pages of script and thought this was good apparently. I am honestly baffled by how few jokes there are in this script. The second joke comes 2 minutes in, when Alicia Silverstone asks a character, "Are you smiling?" To which she coyly replies, "No."
Are you smiling? No.
Yeah, that's meant to be a joke. It's really strange to me how this script got approved. A comedy, without any jokes. So just to address the jokes we've had so far, we've had Bob, and no.
Are you smiling? No.
There's some solid punchlines right there. She then goes to see Danny DeVito, who is playing a guy named Ron. The IMDb for this show says that DeVito played a version of himself in this. Someone should update it now that we've actually seen the pilot. But bear in mind, before this week, no one had ever seen this pilot. It was never aired, and for good reason. There is genuinely nothing of note about DeVito's role. He doesn't have any jokes to deliver, so it's just kind of the characters talking at each other and then they part ways. DeVito's really funny. You've seen him in Always Sunny, Matilda, Taxi. Why would you waste him on this? I've always wondered what happened to Alicia Silverstone. She was huge in the 90s, then started playing mothers in about 2010, but in between that it looks like she was trying to make it in TV. There's another unaired pilot that she starred in that recently found its way online. If you want me to talk about that one, then let me know in the comments. The third joke in the show comes at the 4-minute mark, when the character Alicia Silverstone calls Bob, tells her that her name isn't actually Bob. Yeah, that's a joke. This is actually tragic. We're 4 minutes into a 23-minute episode, and there have been 3 jokes. Less than a joke a minute. This script isn't funny. There's absolutely no way this would have been made into a series without a drastic rewrite. The exchange between Bob, Jen, and Alicia Silverstone is painful to watch. I'm not quite sure what they were going for here.
Thanks, though. No problem. Did you see her earrings? Research yarn. Yarn's gonna be hot. I hate her. I hate her too.
Alicia bumps into someone from high school named Josh. As she steps out of her office, she accidentally sets off her rape alarm a few times, which she calls her personal safety siren. Why didn't they just call it what it was?
But yeah, I just moved back here and it's so nice to see a familiar face.
Oh, sorry, that's my personal safety siren.
It goes off a couple of times, which is fine. At least it's like getting towards the idea of what comedy is. The guy then does a fall.
Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
And then a kid does a fall a few moments later. Probably because someone behind the scenes went, "This is meant to be a comedy, where's the comedy?" And they translated that to, "Oh, you want the characters to trip over everything? We can do that. Oh look, it's Roy from The Office." This is 2005 as well. I wonder if his role was intended to be a regular one. It might have gotten in the way of him filming The Office. See, little bits like that. This is the stuff I'm interested in these pilots for. What would have kept these actors busy and away from the roles they went on to play? Alicia goes home and looks in a yearbook, where she says that Josh was a dork in high school, despite the fact that he looks exactly the same but with a pair of glasses on. They then make a joke about how Alicia looked the same back then. If only she was wearing glasses. They wouldn't be saying that, would they? The universe of the Queen Bee seems to operate on Clark Kent logic. And for some reason, Bee lives with some dude named Patrick. It's never referenced why they're living together, especially since she has a good job. She wouldn't need a roommate. They clearly just need the character for her to talk to when she's at home. They should have just made him a neighbour or something, wouldn't that make more sense? Josh then reveals that he has bought the entire block around Bee's office. Oh, that's his name, by the way. I was getting tired of calling her Alicia Silverstone every time. Josh says that he not only bought the whole block, but he bought the restaurant that they're in and moved back to the States, all in an attempt to woo her. A girl he knew briefly in high school and didn't speak to once. How does she reply to this? Like a normal person? Does she scream and run away? No. She says, "Yeah, okay, cool." What she should have done is set off a personal safety siren. This is how the scene should have went.
All a part of my grand gesture. I'm wooing you. I even bought this restaurant, which I now see was a huge, huge mistake.
They go on a date to a fun fair and almost get a purple monkey. There's another celebrity. Is that the purple monkey from the Lonely Girl 15 YouTube videos? He then has the balls to tell her that she's a bad person and dumps her. The creepiest guy in the universe dumping Alicia Silverstone. Ridiculous. The twist of the show is then revealed. That Queen Bee doesn't mean what she thought it meant. Yeah, B stood for B as in...
I'm getting rid of Britta. What am I doing? I'm getting rid of the bee. She's a no good bee.
I don't like how the cast interacts. Jennifer Carpenter really hams up a performance as though she was told to overact and turn it all up to 11. But it's not particularly funny or entertaining, it just looks like she's acting. Then there's a joke. Well, I'm being kind there by describing this as a joke. The show's idea of what comedy is isn't very accurate. But B has a line where she says that benches should all have adverts for missing kids on them. So if someone spots a missing kid, they make them sit on the bench and wait. It's not really funny, nor is it a good idea. Not sure why they included it at all, really. I realise that not all jokes in the show are gonna get a laugh, but at the very least, they should aim to get a slight exhale and a, "Oh yeah, that was a joke." But this show doesn't even get that. It fails at the very basics of being a comedy show. We then get what's essentially a Family Guy cutaway gag where B is walking some dogs and loses control over them. It's not funny. I don't know why they included it. But then again, you could say that for most of the scenes in this episode. DeVito then reappears to say hello and then vanishes again. Why is he in this? Why did he sign up to this? Honestly, if we had lost him in Always Sunny to this travesty of a show, I would have been fuming. B then kicks off because she's mad at Josh for not fancying her. It's weird because we kind of end the show without the characters having learnt anything or grown in any way. And it's not like some jokes were told along the way that made it worthwhile. It was just scene happening, then another scene happening. Characters just standing around talking at each other. This was a really weird show. I'm planning on making this a series of videos where I look at unaired pilots. And one of the things I was hoping to do in this series is think of ways that the pilot could have continued had it been picked up to series. But with this one, I genuinely don't know. The plot is said to revolve around a woman who slowly realises she doesn't have the same effect on people as she did in high school. But does that really have legs for a multi-series story? How many episodes could you even do with this thing before you completely run out of stories to tell? I don't think this show had potential. The cast was fantastic. I love Alicia Silverstone, and I definitely feel like she was robbed by how fickle Hollywood is when women reach the age of 40. But this show wasn't it. I'm intrigued to know whether or not the other pilot she did was any good. If you want me to do a video on that, then leave a comment below and let me know. If you can subscribe, you'll help us reach our goal of 3K, which we are very close to, so help us out with that. Right, I'll let you go. Bye.